and unfortunately she had used her company laptop to jumpstart her job search process. Her manager got wind of it from IT, and they ended up letting her go ahead of time. And there was no warning, there was no final notice, there was no sit down talk or anything like that. I guess maybe she felt it coming, and she, decided to get ahead of the curve and start her job search. Unfortunately, it did backfire for her because she used her company computer. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the official Thompson Resume Writing Company YouTube channel, where I share weekly tips and hints on how to update, refresh, and or prepare your resume and LinkedIn profile for your job search, along with some career advice, some job search tips, and some personal stories of my own. I am Tamika Thompson. I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company, and I specialize in transforming bland, lackluster resumes and LinkedIn profiles into powerful selling tools that help corporate mid-level, management, and executive professionals land interviews 2 times faster. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here. I hope that you enjoyed this video enough to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. If you are a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you so much for always showing my content some love. It does not go unappreciated. So for today's video, I'm going to be giving you several ways, hints, best practices, etc. on how you can search for a job while you are still employed and without tipping off your boss, your manager, or your nosy coworkers. Let's get right into it. Now, I know all too well how tricky it can be to search for a job, apply to jobs, all that good stuff, all while you still have a job. And especially while you're trying to get out of there without anybody knowing or detecting what you're up to. Aside from that, though, many people do struggle with trying to job search along with balancing their current job. And I get it, because the job search process is a lot, between submitting applications, following up with applications, all the different interviews that you have to schedule, and there may be other pieces of the interview process as well. So maybe they have a project or a task that they want you to do. It can be overwhelming. And that can be the reason why a lot of professionals who are currently employed but desire to get a new job either put it on the back burner, or they are not as consistent as they should be in their job search. Those are things that I did talk about in a recent video that I shared to my channel last month, which talks about common job search mistakes that a lot of people make. I do not want you staying in your current job any longer than you want to be there, especially if you are hell-bent or dead set on getting the out of there. Like, I want you out of there just as bad as you want to be out of there. So if you are currently employed and you plan on job searching soon, or you are currently employed and you are job searching but you're not having much luck for whatever reason, then this video is for you. So without further ado, here are several ways to job search while you are still employed. Number 1 is to figure out when you have the time to apply to jobs and to interview for jobs. Now, I get it. If you're a typical professional and you work a standard job, maybe you're working from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. Yes, that is all day, but there still is some time that you have within the day to get some job search tasks done. So if you realize that you want to keep your lunch to yourself and you prefer to eat your lunch during that time and that's your R&R time, that's completely fine. But maybe that means that you're going to have to get up a little bit earlier in the morning, maybe at 6 or 6:30, to give yourself a solid hour to crank out applications. And maybe if it's not in the morning, maybe it's in the evening. Maybe you're saying, you know what, getting up any earlier than I already do is just not for me. I need to go ahead and do this after work. So then maybe you say, okay, from 6 to 6:30 or from 6 to 7, I'm going to dedicate that time to my job search. But first things first is to figure out when you actually have the time between your regular job schedule and, your job responsibilities and your tasks. And also if you have a family, so if the mornings are not good for you because maybe you have children, or maybe you have a parent that you're taking care of and that doesn't work, but figure out what time does work best for you to apply to jobs, to interview, to conduct follow-up. The next thing that you want to do, so number 2, is the time that you decide that you have the time to do job search stuff, you want to block out that time on your calendar. So for me in particular, time blocking is especially effective, and I recommend it to anybody who's looking to get better with time management or who's looking to focus a little bit more when they're trying to get something done. So once you decide, hey, I have between 6 and 7 or 6 and 8, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to crank out these applications or to dedicate towards my job search, block that time out on your calendar. And that means that that time should be undisturbed, uninterrupted. You are 100% zoned in and focused for that hour or that hour and a half or 45 minutes or however long you're setting aside to your job search only. If you don't have time every single day to dedicate towards your job search, that is okay, but you need to make sure that you're able to block out at least 6 to 8 hours per week for your job search. Now, if you're going to do that whole 6 to 8 hours per week every single Sunday at 7 a.m. when the kids are asleep and everybody is away or your husband or your spouse is away, that's fine, but it needs to be consistent. So if you can't do it every day, that's fine, but if it's going to be on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or one day a week sort of time block, then you need to make sure that you are keeping up with it. And again, that time needs to be uninterrupted, undisturbed, where you are able to focus 100% on getting job search stuff done. Number 3 is to create an interview schedule. So you know your work schedule better than anyone. You know when you're going to have meetings, you know when your lunch break is, you know when you may have a break in your day. And so use that downtime throughout the day or whenever you have that time to figure out when you are going to interview, and also let the recruiter know. So you can tell them up front when they email you back to request an interview, you can let them know, hey, my time may be a little bit limited because I'm still working full time. I take my lunch from 1 to 2 p.m. every single day. This is the only time that I'm going to have available to interview. Or let's say you don't start your day until 9, but the company that you're interviewing with opens at 8. You can say, hey, I'm only available from 8 to 9 every morning to interview because I am still working and my day starts at 9 and I'm off at 5, but you all may be closed. So this is the window of time that I have to work with. Please let me know the days this week that this may work for you. And this is something that a lot of people forget to do. So submitting applications is fine, blocking out time to submit for applications is fine, but you also need to make sure that the applications that you're submitting, you need to set aside time to interview for those jobs, because the idea is that if you're applying to jobs, you're going to be getting interviews. So setting aside time to crank out applications is not the only thing that you need to set aside time for. Make sure that you're blocking out time or that you're setting time every day or sometime throughout the week to interview for these jobs. And you should be setting aside maybe an hour to an hour and a half each time to make sure that you're getting through the interview and that you're not rushing it. Next on this list is to please do not use your company's computer. Now, you guys know that even though we're working from home, even more so since we're working from home, these companies are spying on us. They have all types of software to make sure that we are keeping up with productivity and that we're not going on any sites that we're not supposed to be doing. I feel like when it comes to monitoring, they've definitely upped the ante because of remote work during the pandemic. So do not use your company computer to apply to jobs, to search to jobs, because of course they have an IT person on the back end who is monitoring and tracking your activity. And best believe if they see some stuff going on, if they see Indeed pop up or see, career.website/ whatever the URL, IP address is, whatever it is, they are going to flag it. So use your personal computer for your job search. You should have your resume on your personal computer. You should have your resume in your personal email. Do not store any of your career-related documents on your work computer, and do not use your work computer to search for a job. Now, unfortunately, this did happen to a client of mine. We worked together about 2 years ago, and unfortunately, she had used her company laptop to jumpstart her job search process. Her manager got wind of it from IT, and they ended up letting her go ahead of time. And there was no warning, there was no final notice, there was no sit down talk or anything like that. I guess maybe she felt it coming, and she, decided to get ahead of the curve and start her job search. Unfortunately, it it did backfire for her because she used her company computer, and the person in IT, you know, was looking through everything and monitoring everything. They were basically doing their job. They saw that this person was going on websites such as Indeed, Career Builder, etc. multiple times throughout the day, and they did let her go. So please do not use your work computer. Use your personal computer. Go to a library if you need to. Borrow a friend's. Use your mom's, but do not use your company's computer to apply to jobs. I feel like that should have been number one, but we haven't on the list at all. Number 5 on this list is to not tell anyone that you are looking if you feel like you cannot trust him. Now, I have been guilty of this in the past. I had, you know, coworkers who I thought were also friends, and when I was, you know, preparing to leave, I told them, you know, in confidence. We went out to lunch. We, you know, were having drinks or whatever, and word unfortunately did get back to my manager. And I'm just like, I only told one person, so I knew who the snitch was. So if you cannot trust your coworkers, if you don't have anyone in the workspace who you feel like you can trust and who you can confide in, do not let them know that you are looking for a job, because they will be the first person sometimes to throw you under the bus. And if you don't want your manager getting wind of the fact that you are leaving, do not tell anyone. Keep it to yourself unless you feel as though you can really trust that person. Even if you feel like they can help you get a job interview, even if they have an amazing network and they have a lot of connections, it's not worth it if they are going to blow the whistle on you or cause you to get in trouble. So do yourself a favor, keep it to yourself unless you have a really close work buddy who you feel like you can trust. Next on this list is to leverage early mornings, late nights, and the weekends. So I know that those times tend to be leisure time, sleep time, exercise time, workout time, quiet time, whatever time that you already have it set for. But when you are job searching, especially if you're still working full time, that is going to be your prime time to set aside for your job search. So again, if you need to wake up like 2 hours or 3 hours earlier than when you normally do because the house is quiet and that's when you can focus and that's when you can get things done uninterrupted, or maybe it's late Saturday night, like around 11 p.m. when maybe the kids are off to their friend's house or your spouse is away on a work trip and you have the house to yourself, or maybe you just don't have as much going on the weekends because your week is chaotic, that's going to be your job search time. But please leverage the power of your downtime. I know you may love to have your weekends for fun. I know you may like sleeping in until the very last minute, but I know you may love sleeping or going to bed early or not having to be up at 1 a.m. But for that job search, if you're really dead set or hell bent on getting out of that job, you are going to have to make some sacrifices and some compromises in your week and in your life to apply to these jobs and to interview for jobs and to actually get a new job. It doesn't just happen. You do have to dedicate time for it. Last on this list is to get tips from your manager, but only if the relationship is good. So if you and your manager or your boss have a really great relationship, maybe you've already shared information with them or let them know like, hey, I may be leaving soon, or I'm looking for other opportunities at this time. If it's an internal position, get some tips from them, right? Because they may have connections in that department or throughout the organization that can help you. If you are moving externally, maybe they have connections at that company or elsewhere that you can leverage to get in, but only if you trust them. This tends to be the first step, especially when it comes to maybe going for a promotion or even trying to get into a new department, because 9 times out of 10, your manager is going to have to vouch for you or give you a stamp of approval in the interview process at some point. But if you're looking to leave externally, that's okay too. Just as long as the relationship is good and you feel like you can trust them, go ahead and let them know and ask them, say, hey, do you have any interviewing tips? Is there anything that needs to be on my resume? Is there anything that I really need to know that's important, that's going to help me stand out and really shine in this interview, or that's going to make my job search process easier? Right as it's kept, managers are legit the plug, but again, only if that relationship is good. I have been fortunate enough to have some managers in the past that I had good relationships with, and they really did help me throughout my career and help me within the companies that I was working for during that time. as far as tips on improving my performance, as far as interviewing for positions that were in different departments. They were really able to put me on game when it came to crafting my answers, things that needed to be on my resume, and stuff like that. So those are some tips on how you can job search while you are still employed so that you are able to get out of there, land an offer, and go ahead and put in your resignation. And I know that there is nothing like it. And again, I get it, right? I have been in a position where it's like I'm working full time, I'm running my business, but I'm still trying to look for a new job. It does get hectic, but the key is to be organized, be structured, set aside time, and really make sure that you are as structured and consistent as possible in order to see the success that you're looking for. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, go ahead and give me a like, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, and let me know in the comments if you're currently employed and looking for a job. Was there any tip on this list that stood out to you in particular? I would like to know. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do need assistance with your resume, if you're not getting any interviews in your current job search, go ahead and feel free to reach out to me. My email address is hello@thompsonresumes.com, and my website is www.thompsonresumes.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Tamika Thompson. That is my profile name. And you can also follow me on Instagram at _Mika Thompson. Lastly, you can also subscribe to my email list to get weekly tips and hints and freebies from me. I'll go ahead and include the link down below in the description box so that you can sign up. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all next week with another helpful video. Bye, you guys.